Helo agus fáilte go trí seascad den program ag BBC Alba ha dul go crea sgéalach an bhorraigh an an sil spórs na h-Alba. Is me Iona Ballantyne agus ha mí tolaigh ra go bhfuil coach skippa na h-Alba fa is na cluinnidh agus manager slí colony Pauline Hamill colorúm san studio. Our program na heiche noch fear me híd is Pauline Sulrash an deireadh out in SWPL agus bís na coidse srí cuideachd na còmhla cuideachd son na skipian ógraí náisiúnta. Has na Pauline Chloe Arthur, ha cloichar son skip na h-Alba agus Aston Villa, agus han sgìtheadair Charlie Guest a géint múslí a spórs thuca seo agus coidse ha còldach in uair gréach an a cuideachd a sé ar a bhí do droch horsteach. Pauline, welcome to 360.
Thank you very much.
I suppose to start with, as this is your first time on the show, can you just tell us a bit about your career and actually how you got involved in football?
Yeah, absolutely. I played for a long time with numerous clubs in Scotland and managed to play professional in Iceland and England as well. And I played for the national team 141 times over 18 years, so it was some of the best times of my life there. And you know, now I've got the privilege to be the under-19 women's national coach as well.
Because there's a brilliant stat, you in 2007, you were the first player to earn 100 caps for the Scotland women's team, and then just a couple of months later you actually surpassed Scotland players. Kenny Dalglish had 102 and you had 103.
Yeah, absolutely. I know it feels like such a long time ago now, but certainly something that I'm really proud to have done. But you know, playing for the national team was such a massive privilege for me, and to do that once, let alone the times I've done it, I feel like a group of people that really feel quite special about having represented the team.
Do you just have great memories from that time and from your time playing?
Yeah, honestly, it's like some of the best times of your life, and you get to do something you love with people that have remained friends after all this time. So I think those friendships you build up as well, and being away all across Europe and the world playing for the national team, it's something you dream about when you're a wee girl, and you don't know if it's ever going to be a reality, but for me, you know, fortunately enough it was.
And do you still keep in touch with some of your old teammates from that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Julie Fleeton's what a good friend of mine, and Ep30, really good friends as well, and we see others at other times in the year, but you know, those are Shelley Kerr as well, is one of my really good friends. So Pauline McDonald, who's been here as well. So, you know, all people that over a 25-year period have remained friends. And
it's great to see you and the other names that you mentioned still involved in the game now, and probably you've seen it grow so much, I can imagine. Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you know, when you look back at the start of potentially the journey that I've had, and, you know, not even able to play for a girls' team when I was younger, and how it's progressed at clubs where, you know, a lot of the clubs now have invested a lot, and you can see now there's massive opportunities there for girls, and it's just so great to sit back now and look at the opportunities that are afforded to the players now, and it's fantastic that we're in this position. And can you tell us a bit about your time with the under-19s and a team who unfortunately haven't been able to play for a while? Yeah, absolutely. It's been such a shame. You know, I think that I haven't worked with under-19s for more than a year now, and that's been a real challenge for the players. I mean, I think that they've missed out on a lot of opportunities to be educated in the youth national team programme, but the great thing for them now is that they're back at their clubs, they're back training at their clubs, and you know, we quite soon should be in a position where we can start our under-19 programme again. How are they, and how have they been through this time, which has never happened before, to have so much time away from a sport? I know, absolutely. I think when you're any elite player, even on a youth level, where you're trying to aspire to be your best, and you're hit with something that nobody could ever have imagined would happen, and it's been such a difficult time for the players, you know, and we fully accept and appreciate that. And I think now we're in a place where we want to just think about what we can do moving forward, and you know, from this place on, what can we do and what can we try and achieve as a group together. What is the next step with the group? I mean, have they been able to maintain fitness, or is that something you're really going to have to work on? Well, I mean, I think the clubs all have done everything they could to ensure that the players are at a level athletically that the best they can be, really. Of course, there'll be different levels within that, and you know, I think initially now just getting club football back, seeing the SWPL back on and on TV as well is fantastic, and that'll give the players such a boost, and
then when they come to me, then we can see where they're at.
Great, well hopefully we are on the right path and things will be back on the pitch soon.
Absolutely, yep.
And tá manis son a chéad aris a-mach trí, far bhfuil trí seascad a dul sias a hasain son fachcail aon cluiceadair for WSL agus Championship na ban. Inách can Albannach Chloe Arthur I gcéis gain muna chéad season éicéad ag Aston Villa.
Bawn yn niddi ystawrwg, fa cwgwni yn mychynw Chloe Arthur. Fa'n cwna taich y colydd I Birmingham City a Jean Cwcawn, agus fa'n y coed son rwt gynŵr.
The main thing for me was to get back to enjoying football, so I was kind of in a phase where I wasn't enjoying it as much. So that was key for me, and I was lucky enough to have interest from a few different clubs in the league. And after speaking to Villa, they were the people that impressed me the most in terms of professionalism and ambition of the club, and the people who were on the call, like the staff that are in place right now, were just really genuine, lovely people. And I think to have an environment where that's kind of stemmed down from the staff, it creates a good culture. So yeah, I was really impressed, and I think I made the right decision, and I'm happy to be here.
Glúis Chloe go ceann éile a bhela go scipe úr sa League Aston Villa, agus cynnig chi ddys yn scipe úr aiche an y doin o afisteach, le ráhésan dh'aindeoin le COVID.
When we first started training, it was like small groups of like a few people at a time. It's just difficult because, especially at Villa getting promoted, there's like a lot of new players, and just to get to know everyone, it's a bit strange. But I guess we'll never go through anything like this again, but well, hopefully not. But no, the girls are lovely, the team are really, really nice, so it made it an easy transition for me. We can't really complain, like we're back playing every week, so you might be frustrated at the time if a game's cancelled, but actually if you look at the bigger picture, we are in a very lucky position to be playing still and still have games every week. So yeah, that's important, and just got to kind of look at the bigger picture whenever there's frustrations, to think, yeah, well, we're actually really lucky.
Ha Chloe tainga go bhfuil a cloich trích yn rásta, agus ha had a haas to defthi afamas ag Villa, leis an season yn isht a Jean Cwcawn.
Yeah, no, definitely staying up is key, especially right now. I mean, it's quite tight at the bottom of the table, and we're in amongst that. We knew it was going to be a hard season. We had a lot of new players, and the first season in the top league is always going to be a transition period. So, I mean, we'd like to be higher than we are at the minute, but there's still games to go, and it's just important for us to, with the quality of players that we have, is to use that and stay in the league, because where the club wants to go, its long-term plans is really key. And I think this club will be really attractive to players in the near future with the support that they have as a club as a whole. It's not really separate, like the women's team and the men's team, although it is in a sense, but they are really together, and they want the full club to go somewhere, whether you're female or male. So yeah, that's really important, and the long-term plan is it looks really great for the club, and they'll be successful.
Ha Arthur iddi a cloich yn y sasing fo Davila sa sheachdain, agus tron aumsin han WSL it fas. Ha ich o tolich a fecin gyfil yn SWPL idyn dh'aindeoin Cuideachd, le ida a league a fas o hula season.
It's really, really positive to see, because I think from when I was there, there was only really one contender that was winning the leagues and was way above the rest of the teams, which was Glasgow City. And now you've got the likes of Celtic and Rangers that are challenging them now, because there's been more investment and there's more interest in the women's game. And now they're getting players from England and from all over the world as well that want to play in the league. So it's just amazing to see, because ultimately you want girls growing up in Scotland to be like, yeah, I can play football in Scotland and have a professional career, and just inspire them really. So it's great to see, and it might take time and however long it takes to kind of level up with other leagues, but it's definitely going in the right direction, and it's great to see, especially it's like where I'm from and little Scotland doing well. So no, it's really, really good to see other teams contending, and it's more challenging for the league as a whole.
Ha Chloe yn dóchas le bharrachd geminant yn y club, gyfai brafos gyfer a Halpa, is the son áte a deireadh dhír san scipa náisiúnta, gus taith go Sky fáin that for a bhiliatar son a bhí.
Yeah, that was really disappointing as a squad. The talent that's in the squad is unbelievable, so for us not to kind of go further, especially after the World Cup, was really disappointing. But now it's just about kind of how we do well in the next campaign. And like on a personal point, I would want to be involved again, having a couple of niggles that have kept me out the last couple of camps. So yeah, for me, I want to get back playing it, and as a squad in general, we just want to be performing and do really well, because like I say, the talent we have in the squad is so good, and we should be competing, and we should have qualified. So now it's on to the next campaign. It's kind of a fresh start for us.
Ha Chloe is a dói glán le far a bhfuil báil cosise bhd na h'Alba drásta, agus le far a bhfuil dá Cuideachd. Ha sons can be bodanich áca agus cláineann a feiching go bhfuil cumhachdach dríoch professional and the spores a lenting.
Yeah, no, it is amazing. I think it's important that we have role models. These girls growing up have role models and they can look up to and think, yeah, I want to be like them, or can see a future in the game. Going back to when I was younger, like 13, 14, 15, the game was nowhere near that level, and even at the highest level at that point, it was still the evening trainings, and there wasn't a full-time kind of schedule. But now in Scotland as well, like there's the full-time schedule out there where people can kind of work towards, and they can say, yeah, I can be a footballer, I can be full-time professional. It's not kind of amateur as such anymore. So that's really, really key, how to see the progressions in the women's game, and to have young girls growing up and know that they can make a career out of it. The most important thing is to enjoy it, because those are the times that you remember the most, when you're just enjoying football, and just kind of have a goal and see where you want to go, but don't focus on it too much, just to be in that moment, because ultimately that's what's going to lead you to hopefully what will be a successful career in the game.
Pauline, you have known Chloe for a very long time.
Yeah.
It must be lovely to watch that.
Oh, it is. It's when you think that you've known that player since she was 13 years old, and how much drive and ambition, and how much she was prepared to be patient and to understand that it would take time to fulfil her dream, which was to be a professional footballer. And when you see now she's managed to achieve that, it just makes you feel so proud that, you know, you supported her somewhere on her journey.
Absolutely. What was she like at 13?
She, like I said, even at that age, she was so focused on what she wanted to do, and she was such a happy girl, and she just loved to play football. And I think it's important there that she's mentioned that herself, that's what it comes back to at the end of the day. You need to be enjoying what you do, and you know, she looks really motivated to do well at her new club.
And Chloe was always talking about role models and how important it is. You must find from your under-19 squad, they'll be looking up to the A-team and being like, well, right, that's what I want to do. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, it's their goal. Their goal's to represent the national team. I think when you get to under-19s and you're only that one step away from national team, it becomes so close. But it's really difficult. You know, we have a really strong national team, and it's difficult for our young players to automatically go straight into that environment. And it's so important that they do and take maybe some of what Chloe's been really good at, which is having that patience and working hard and ensuring that you're performing and playing. And if that happens, then you'll get an opportunity at some point. It's just having that belief in yourself.
Well, like Chloe moving down south, so many Scottish players in previous years, that's what they've had to do, because Scotland, we just didn't have the facility to be a full-time professional footballer, but yeah, we're seeing that now. Mm-hmm. I mean, how is that for you, even to see that up here so close to home?
It's fantastic. I mean, like you say, there's other options now, you know, for a player who wants to aspire to be a national team player. The first and automatic choice now might not be to go to England. It might be actually to look and see what's available here. And as the league grows, and as the players that come in make it more competitive, as the clubs all become more competitive, why would a young player want to get up and go to England if they can actually be a professional player in this country and make our league stronger?
Was it ever a worry that so many were going down to England did you ever think, should we be doing more up here?
I think the very best want to play with the best, and they want to reach their full potential, and for some players you can't say they shouldn't do that, because as I've been a player and I wanted to be my best as well, and you need to be in the right environment for that to happen. But now we're in a situation that's different, then there are opportunities here for players to do that at clubs in our country, and I think that's something we should be really proud of, and something we should shout from the rooftops, because there's a lot of people put in a lot of hard work to enable us to be at this point.
Absolutely. The thing is, with the SWPL this season, even though there's been so much stop and start, it is so exciting. Every week in, week out, when it's being played, it's great to have it back. It's great to have it on. It's great to see the investment. I mean, if we take a look at the league table now,
yep.
Rangers and Glasgow City, it's literally a goal difference separating them at the top.
Yeah, but isn't it? It's what everybody's wanted. You know, everybody in women's football has wanted a competitive situation where two teams are going hammer and tong every week, potentially up to the last game of the season before you even know who's going to be the winning team. And for me, that's a godsend, and they clubs would want that, and all the clubs aspiring to be in those positions would want that as well, because we all want it to be competitive and to be exciting, and that's what entices people to watch the game as well, and attracts more sponsors, and there's so many really positive effects of that too.
Because even the mid-table teams, it's so competitive there too, and they always go and give the bigger teams a good go each week in, week out. Yeah,
absolutely, and you know, you can see that there's some investment, you know, the teams that's sitting higher up the league, there's been more investment, but there's clubs in the middle that, you know, if they go out and perform in a given week, you know, they can absolutely compete with those teams, and it's about having the belief and having the patience and understanding that, you know, if you go out and put in your best performance, you absolutely can compete.
And even down at the bottom of the table, Motherwell and Hearts, for example, they're teams full of really young players who are developing, and you can actually see them get better each week, and probably players that you know from the under-19s. Yeah,
definitely, and you know, you think as well that Hearts have got a new manager in too, and that takes time as well, and they've managed to get some loan players in that's been youth national team players that will have really helped that situation. You know, Motherwell's a little bit in transition again because they now don't have their manager, so they're getting a new manager, so you know, but they're still fighting every week for points, and it's so good to see that actually our young players can play SWPL 1 football, because ultimately you want them to be challenged at the top league.
Absolutely, and hopefully we will have SWPL 2 back soon, because that was another brilliant league.
Yeah, definitely, and that's so exciting and so competitive, that league, and it's so important that we get it back up and going again, and I really sincerely hope that happens soon.
Great, so do we. Siama grúd a grétas a gáil ceara son neach spórs, man ha aois ag an sgìtheadair Charlie Guest. Cha droch háirseach a grúnthúsin agus ag aois muintin me géin scúr is sgioch búlach glán. An och cha géin scoin mar a thuirí sheachdain'sa an sin agus na dúlan úra a roipe.
Gas an sé Albannach Charlie Guest suas a sgìg, ach bawnú de bhain na sinne mas darúnig í fiachain, deireadh professionals and spars.
So when I was about 3 years old, I think this is like my first memories I have. Dad would take us to the golf course in Bridge, where my grandparents lived, and literally just like push us off down the hill. I'm sorry to all the greenkeepers out there, because like this is not what you want to hear, but like kids don't do it. But that's what we did. And once I could carry my own skis, I was allowed to go up to Cairngorm with mum and dad. And to be honest, like I actually found that pretty dull. So yeah, a few years later, I think once I could ride the T-board by myself, then I was allowed to join the race training group up there, and yeah, it all went on from there. I think when I was about 18, 19, there was a coach on the British team at the time, and he was like, look, if you want to do this, like now's the moment that you need to commit everything to what you're doing, you know, physically, in the gym, on the hill, like you need to just put all your eggs in this one basket and go for it. And I think that was where the switch kind of clicked for me, and yeah, yeah, left school and just went full gas into it.
Ba Charlie is a gorstach scráil nó de brisí a dream a dáis na dábhíle sa Cuideachd. Ruta gana gaci le míchíns a burigi cumhla dul for sa spars.
First races of the season were coming up in about 2 days on the hill that we were training on. It just opened, it was late November time, and they'd let us train on the race hill, and I'd skied really well there the year before. So I was like, all right, okay, I've got to give it everything I've got first run, you know, emulate the race situation. And I ended up just making a really like common error. Any skier out there knows, like, stay on the outside ski, like outside ski is where it's at, like, you know, try and stay off the inside one as much as possible. And yeah, I was full on an inside ski, ended up going off the side of the piste, and I landed in the forest on my back. Anyway, I got taken down to the ski patrol hut. There was no helicopters that could come in that day either because the weather was so bad with snow and everything. So I was in there for a bit, and they're like, oh, you've probably got some broken ribs, whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, fine. On painkillers, obviously. And then I think about 8 hours later, I got the diagnosis then for 4 broken vertebrae. And I was like, you joking? At the time, like, no way. Like, but yeah. Anyway, there we were. And that was that.
Has de fain seacha de bhí following, híl Charlie Guest gúna léitin agus hosingi áitiigi héin ag gemich in Oilimpigeach Charlie and na dábhíle sa h-Alba.
I couldn't actually walk because I was in a sort of cycle with my back where there was so much pressure going through my nerves and stuff, or whatever was going on, because there was nothing actually really that wrong, like structurally, in my back. It was all movement patterns and muscle firing patterns, and something was going on with my nerves, and every time I'd stand up I would just faint. And so the kind of January and beginning of February leading into the Olympics, I was just so focused on just prove that you're still in the qualification mix to be selected. And I did that, and then also I got to the Olympics and I was a bit like, oh gosh, like, I've made it, now I've got to perform, and I am kind of not 100% ready. And I think that was a little bit tricky for me to navigate. I've spoken about it a couple of times before in terms of it was weird being at like the pinnacle of your sport, not 100% prepared, because I couldn't help it though, but that's just how it was. And so I suppose looking forward to Beijing, I'm pretty excited to be in good shape heading in.
An na dábhíle sa Cuideachd, ba Charlie a chiad sé bhreachtanach díobh a bhuanach rééis cúpa Jarbach, uair mór gadíadú leis go raibh fasc i the spars ácal.
I'd come out of the Olympics, like, finished that season. It hadn't gone really the way I'd envisaged, I suppose, the way I'd hoped. I went into the summer actually in a really good place though. Like, I'd managed to get on top of my back problems. I was training really well, I was healthy, and was making really good results down in New Zealand over the summer. And then came into sort of October, November time, and my back was done again. And I was like, I think I was just so fed up of that cycle, and I was just mentally in a pretty rubbish place. I was like, do you know what? This isn't working for me. Like, I was in pain skiing. I was lying to myself basically that I was all right. I wasn't all right. Called up my mum one morning. I was like, can you meet me at Edinburgh Airport this afternoon, please? And she's like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah. Phoned up my coach. I was like, I've left the team car in this car park in Munich Airport. The keys are in this locker. See ya. Like, I'm done. Yeah. And then GB Snow Sports really stepped up and got me into like for physical rehab down in London. That really flipped everything for me, because for the first time in ages, I was in a place where I had like physio, S&C, and sports massage, like soft tissue, all in the same place. We're all working really like right round me, like every day of the week to kind of get me better. And my focus wasn't even to get better for skiing, it was just to get better. And then coming into the season, I was like, well, you know, nothing to lose, like it's just ski racing. I've applied for uni, I'll go and do that next year, whatever. And ended up just like making result after result. I only did like 5 or 6 races, but every single one was a huge result. And the win, I was just like, I can't even believe that's just happened to me. You know, if I think back 12 months, what's happened this year, to come out with that was, that was so important, and everything's kind of just gone up from there, to be honest.
As Joey a bhí idir gorstacha grúnthrapan, agus dain sheachdain'sa sin, huaidí a-mach roi a fullin le rheumatoid arthritis, rútagan idir cumhachdach le cúngian leis.
I honestly, I didn't even believe the guy, like the consultant, when he's like, yeah, this is a diagnosis. I'm like, no, like this can't be. I was like, I'm finally like, everything's working, everything's going in the right place. I have a team that I'm really happy with, that I'm supported, I'm making results. You can't possibly tell me that I have something like arthritis. I was like, yeah, but anyway, I'd been getting these random sort of attacks of really bad joint pain. Diagnosis came in, I didn't really believe him. I was like, all right, sweet, like, sure, I'll deal with this. I'm fine, I'm better than that. I'm resilient. I'm this person that's overcome so much, like, I'm all good. And yeah, I think it was just disbelief from my end. And it took a few months, especially going into last summer, for when I was doing all dryland training, and I was training pretty hard every day down here, home gym, whatever, and I was just breaking down time after time with fatigue, with all these kind of things that just shouldn't have been happening to me. And I was like, okay, I think I need some medication for this.
Han sé bhréachta nach máchtáil ag na ruúta na haiad colannach sa dh'aindeoin go seo. Is íonist a gulachug sona bé as Joey dh'aindeoin spores.
I honestly think that, like, my little, you know, kid that joined SSC racing and just literally like watched Albannach at the 2002 Olympics and stuff, like, probably wouldn't actually ever believe that I'd be doing it now. Like, it was something I always wanted to do, and then even when I was a teenager, it was like, yeah, I want to ski World Cup. I don't think I'd ever have believed, like, obviously I wanted to do it, and I had a belief, that some weird belief that I could do it. But if you'd told me, yeah, you're going to be 16th in Ore in 2021, I'd be like, what? Like, okay, that's really cool. I think I'd be pretty proud of myself. I'm pretty excited for it all. I know that my health is the most important thing, and that as soon as I'm healthy, and if I'm looking after my body, and I'm looking after all the little things like sleep, the eating, everything along the way, the skiing is easy. That's the easy part. Like, as if you're doing everything else right, the skiing is so simple. And it's, yeah, I've done so much training, like skiing wise, over the years, that right now it's a case of just doing the right things and enjoying it along the way. And that's been key as well. And I started uni as well in 2019. Yeah, September 2019. And that's been a really cool thing to add in, because ski racing is no longer my everything. So if I do have an injury time, or there's something not going quite right, I know that I'm a bigger person than just a ski racer.
Pauline, what a journey Charlie's had. She's just had so much to deal with.
Oh, she has, and you know, you just take your hat off to her. She's done it absolutely amazing. You know, not only to be hit with such a horrendous injury, but to come back from it and get further setbacks and still believe that she still wants to do the thing that she loves. And it's so admirable just watching that there. It was brilliant.
Admirable is the word that I was just about to use, because you can tell she just keeps going no matter what is thrown in her way. Yep,
and you know, I think that whatever sport it is, I think when you're an elite athlete, it's part of your mentality. It's almost, if you've got your why you're doing something, you'll keep going until you can fulfill your potential and become the best you can be. And she's done that under really horrendous circumstances. So to still chase her dream and chase her goal after all that, it's absolutely brilliant.
It is, it's amazing. And there's so much in there that you can relate to so many different sports. Even what she was saying about the start, even when she moved into skiing, you do, for sport, to take it to the next level, you have to sacrifice so much to do that. And it's what she did, and clearly when things are going well, it's paying off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you sacrifice, that there are many things that athletes sacrifice, but often when you're on that other side, you don't see it as sacrifice, because you just see it as chasing the thing that you wanted to do. And there has to be an element of forgetting some things in order to achieve that, because the best people every day get up every day and want to work their hardest every day to be an Olympic athlete. That takes over your whole lifestyle. you know, what you eat, when you socialise, who you socialise with, when everything, it takes over every aspect of your life, and it was just fantastic to watch that and see somebody at that level give everything she could.
Absolutely, and the reward for sacrificing and dedicating so much to it is clearly evident when you do make it to the top of your sport and reach something like the Olympics.
Yep, definitely. I mean, she's the same at 3. She's firstly introduced almost to that sport, and you're thinking, where do you go at that age, and what do you think? It's just because you're enjoying it, and she's just went and chased her dream and kept going with it despite the setbacks that she's had to face.
And in terms of setbacks, injury is, you can talk about injury across all sports, and that's a horrific back injury. So to even have the confidence to get back onto your skis and push on is amazing to see.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, she said herself in the VT that, you know, she got a team of people around her at that level who supported her, and a team of experts that gave everything to help her get back on that path. But ultimately, she has to be so mentally strong herself to be able to do that. It's as well almost an individual sport. So, you know, and she says herself she struggled mentally as well at one point. So, yeah, a really impressive individual, and somebody that you know is going to be successful in whatever she does, I'm sure.
Definitely. I mean, for you personally, was injury something that you were in and out of during your career? Did you experience what Charlie had?
I mean, I was really fortunate. I didn't have any injuries, but that's maybe because I didn't really tackle anybody. So I was really fortunate. I steered clear of any serious injuries. But there's so many athletes get injuries, and it is so many parts to getting back to being on the pitch, or in this case, being back in the slopes and doing the thing you love. But when it is the thing you love, it's such a thing to hold on to and something to grasp, and it will drive you.
Well, probably for you as a coach, you'll be on the other side of the injuries when your players are getting injured, and actually having to help them through that, because there's so many different aspects, and like Charlie said, the mental side of things is really difficult. Yeah, it is.
I mean, for players, especially young players, that if they pick up an injury, they can think it's the end of the world, and you know, it's about really trying to get that into perspective for them and understand, you know, the process of rehabilitation, and it might take X amount of time. I think with the clubs being more professional now, they have a lot of support at their clubs as well, in terms of strength and conditioning coaches, physiotherapists, sports scientists, people who can really help them. And you know, I think psychologists as well, you know, we need them for elite athletes, because a lot of what happens in your mind first before it goes anywhere else, and it's really important that people feel healthy when they go to do their sport.
And you'll hope that you'll have these well-rounded players back with you soon.
Absolutely.
When you do finally get back on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm so excited to work with the players again. It'd be so good to be back on the pitch and really trying to help them and trying to support them on their journey.
Great. Well, thank you so much for joining us this week. And like we say, fingers crossed soon, we'll be watching an under-19 side.
That's great. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, sin ar son program eile, and nachheachchan bhí sean Cuideachd na h-Alba, Julie Fleeting Colrooms in studio. Machal sib gin gan a programen, cainig cyn fitch of a feichgain an channel YouTube backing, agus Cuideachd can program magérig iPlayer at VBC. Agus cainig Cuideachd can be an SWPL biar fiach a VBC an deireadh sheachdain'sa na mes Glasgow City in October na maher to Donnig BBC Alba. Ach chun na huris, Martian live and drast.